Hey everyone, and welcome back to another World of Warcraft Legion Alpha video. Today we will be having a look at the new Marksmanship Hunter. Now, it's had quite a few changes since I last took a look at it that do impact my opinions on how it plays. I think it's actually in a way better state now than it was in the past due to some really good talent changes and just a few other little things. Another thing that's happened is that Lone Wolf is no longer a baseline. So if I open my talents here, you can see Lone Wolf is a level 15 talent. Now, that basically means that you actually have the option of having a pet. So if you go with Steady Focus or True Aim, you will indeed get a pet. I actually don't really like having to choose between no pet and then these two particular talents, but I suppose having the option to go petless or not is something that quite a few players will like. Now, it should be noted that the new Black Arrow, and this is actually a new version of Black Arrow over what I showed you, does have an element of a pet to it. So you fire an arrow at the target, it does 100,000 shadow damage over 8 seconds, and it summons a dark minion to taunt the target. And then whenever you kill an enemy, the remaining cooldown of Black Arrow is going to be reset. So this basically gives you a taunt minion that you can use when you're leveling up in the world, meaning that maybe Lone Wolf isn't 100% needed, but that is one of the major things that change, and I think it's worth updating you on that. Now, just in case you're not aware of how the spec plays, it's actually quite simple. Arcane Shot, you can just spam it like this and it gains you 5 focus every time you use it. Doesn't do a massive amount of damage, but that's Arcane Shot. It's how you get most of your focus back on top of the stuff that you just generate passively. There's then Aimed Shot. It does 60,000 damage, 2-second cast, 50 focus. Fair enough though, nothing majorly special. But then we've got Marked Shot. So this will fire a shot at the target, dealing 84,000 damage and making them vulnerable for 30 seconds. Now you can stack up to 3 stacks of vulnerability, and each stack will increase the damage taken from aimed shot by 25%, going up to 75%. Now, one of the big changes from when I last played this is that vulnerable stays there for 30 seconds. It actually means that vulnerable is not really a mechanic that you need to worry about that much. I'm just going to spam my arcane shots here. You just get, random chance of Hunter's Mark being applied to the target, meaning that you're able to use Marked Shot. There you go, I've got 3 stacks of vulnerability, so now whenever I used Aimed Shot, you can see it's doing significantly more damage, about 162k. Now there is another thing there called Marked for Death. That's just an artifact talent which stacks up to 3 times, lasts about 9 seconds, and gives you a 15% extra crit chance for your aimed shot. So this is all about powering up your aimed shots. One interesting thing though, Marked Shot often does more damage than aimed shot. It kind of changes depending on things, and especially on crits. There was a time when I was doing about a minute's worth of testing, and within that minute, almost every marked shot that I did more damage than the aimed shots that I was doing. There's one 229,000, so whenever they crit, they really do crit quite nicely. Then there's also Windburst. This is now balanced to be useful. If I click Windburst, there you go, big bit of damage, and then it's supposed to spawn this line that you can run really fast in. So if you're the opener in a raid situation, then the melee, your melee friends who don't have a charge ability can run through your Windburst to get to the target a little bit quicker, which I think is actually really quite cool. Anyhow, so the core, I suppose, build, like the basic version of it, is pretty much just what I've been showing off here. You are maintaining your 3 stacks of vulnerable, which I just managed to let go. You're using Windburst on cooldown, and then you've got abilities like, say, Headshot. It can consume up to 100 focus, does a big bit of damage with a bit of an AoE element. That's pretty cool. You're maintaining your Murder of Crows. You, depending how the damage works out, may be using Marked Shot on cooldown, and then just using your 3-stack aim shots as your focus filler. Now, this actually, for me, is not the most interesting way of playing this class. There are some talent choices, some really interesting ones that I think actually can be quite a bit more fun. So let's go to the talents. And I'm going to go with Patient Sniper. Gain the patience of a veteran sniper, increasing your maximum focus by 30, and causing Marked Shot to apply Deadeye instead of Vulnerable. So that Vulnerable mechanic that we talked about earlier is changed. Deadeye, instead of Vulnerable, will increase your Marked Shot and Aimed Shot damage by 150% for 8 seconds. Now this is really well combined with Sidewinders. Sidewinders are a 12-second cooldown, or sorry, 12-second recharge. You get 2 stacks. It generates 70 focus. I just can't do numbers today. You launch Sidewinders at the target, which travel towards them, weaving back and forth, dealing 82,000 nature damage to each target that they hit. They cannot hit the same target twice, so let's click on Sidewinders and use those. It does that. They sort of wind around the place, and you get a whole bunch of focus back. There is what Deadeye looks like. Damage from marked shot and aimed shots, increased by 150%. Now, if what you want to do is be playing within these Deadeye windows, so you would be doing, 2 aimed shots, a Sidewinder, trying to get a marked shot out there, and I think it actually leads to this very purposeful sort of gameplay that feels quite decisive and impactful, I suppose. It's quite tight as far as the timings go, and that means that, yeah, you do have to play it pretty decently, and there maybe isn't as much room for inserting the likes of, say, Murder of Crows and just other elements into your rotation, but I actually do find that it can be quite enjoyable to play that way. Because essentially, you Sidewinders, which gives you loads of focus, and then you can burst that down into 2 aimed shots within the duration of Deadeye, and, in the interim, while you're waiting for Sidewinders to cool down, you might be able to use your Murder of Crows, your Wind Burst, your Black Arrow, or your Explosive Shot. And Explosive Shot, indeed, is another ability that I really should show you quite soon. So I'm just going to go do some abilities here. We will Sidewind ourselves, get a marked shot. Now we're going to throw some aim shots in there, use all my focus, dealing some very heavy damage. We'll do that again. Marked shot. That marked shot goes out for a lot of damage. And you can see, I'm putting out the aim shots. And I've sort of found myself now in this nice little rotation. Now, after this aim shot, I've got a little bit of time where I can squeeze in a Wind Burst before my next Sidewinder. So now I Sidewinder, then I marked shot, and then I burn out my aim shots. As you can see, the timings here are quite tight insofar as how you slot everything together. And I actually think it can be quite fun. Another cool thing is Sidewinders. If we, apply that, it's marked all of these targets with Hunter's Mark. So I can then go marked shot, boom, I've marked shot everything. And that's a cool little bit of AoE that's being added here. Now, speaking of AoE, I absolutely have to show you the new Explosive Shot. It's extremely different to the Explosive Shot that is currently in the game. You fire a slow-moving munition directly forwards. Activating this ability a second time will then detonate that shot, dealing up to 250,000 fire damage to all targets in that area based on proximity. Yeah, based on proximity. This is a skill shot. So, let's throw out an Explosive Shot. There you go. And then we hit the button again, and we're good to go. Now, you can fire or you can detonate your Explosive Shot when it's in midair while you're mid-cast of something else. That's kind of like, it's off the global cooldown, so it doesn't really interfere with everything else. The difference is it makes you have that active element, so if you're just staring at your action bars, well, no, if you've got an Explosive Shot going on, you'll need to glance in front of your character, or, even if you've just been staring at your character's feet, no, you'll need to look at your target and see where it's going. So, let's just do a bit of a demonstration. I'm going to open with the Sidewinders here just so I can get my marked shot off. There you go, I've done marked shot. We're going to do our aim shots now. I use True Shot, which actually gives me some lovely, haste. Yes, haste, that useful thing. So, there we go, we're running out the stage where, oh no, well, actually no, we're not. Another thing, as you can see, Sidewinders, its text is in green. That means that its recharge time is affected by haste. That's a new sort of little UI feature. So now I'm at the stage, right, where if you look at my rotation, if I use these Sidewinders and then do my 2 aim shots... Oh, wow, I messed that up. I didn't Deadeye. But I've now got some sort of downtime, so what I can do there is Explosive Shot into another aimed shot, and you can sort of weave that into your rotation in a way that's decently seamless, and I think leads to gameplay that not everyone will like, but definitely is gameplay that has value. But of course, it's optional, it's a talent, and that's why it makes sense. And because you won't always be able to use Sidewinders after you've done your main focus burn on your 2 aimed shots, you've got a chance to be able to fit in, say, a Murder of Crows or another sort of ability. I would say that, as an example, Headshot. Now, obviously, Headshot and Sidewinders, you can't use them at the same time, but Headshot, in my view, doesn't play that well with Patient Sniper. So there's some pretty cool decisions going on here. Indeed, Patient Sniper and Lock and Load might be good, so Lock and Load gives you a chance to be able to do 2 instant free aim shots, so that actually is quite good with Patient Sniper. Of course, it's also worth noting, I forgot to say this when I was talking about Marked Shot without Deadeye, so just when it did vulnerability, is it does also increase the damage of your marked shots, as well as your aim shots, meaning that, yeah, you pretty much do just want to be using Marked Shot whenever it procs, and that is something that will indeed proc. Now, that's most of what I wanted to cover with this spec. You do have some other things, you know, there's Barrage. It's back, decently familiar, you know, does its thing. Of course, we got Volley then, which will, you know, do this, sort of, you know, lay down a volley of things. It's not the channeled one like it used to be, of course, you know, great memories of using Volley at the very start of ICC, you know, when you just be putting out insane numbers and your computer would be lagging, so it's not that Volley anymore, bit unfortunate. But really, that's just about it. I'll just cover one or two of the other DPS ones. You know, Trick Shot, Aim Shot will now ricochet and hit all vulnerable targets for 30% of normal damage. Yeah, so I'll just show you what Trick Shot is like with Patient Sniper and Sidewinders. I think it actually makes a very nifty AoE build. If I were to go here, do Sidewinders, which just, of course, does damage to everybody, then Marked Shot. Now you'll find my Aim Shots will be doing ricochet damage to everyone. And, you know, quite obviously, there's a lot of damage going out here. A lot of it's AoE, so there's an example of an AoE build within this new kind of system for the Marksmanship Hunters. So in comparison to what's happened with the previous iteration of Marksmanship, I think this one's more fun. I think it's a better execution of some of the similar ideas. Yeah, you know, I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit. I'm extremely happy to be able to say that. I think, you know, they've made some good improvements with a lot of the Hunter specs. Survival is in a better state than it was when it came onto the alpha. I still need to check out Beast Mastery again to see what changes there have been, but certainly on the Marksmanship front, which, you know, Marksmanship's one of the specs that I would have played the most overall. Yeah, I'm quite happy to see the Blizzard have made some really cool changes, created some cool gameplay, and created talent choices which actually offer you different gameplay options, which of course is something that's very nice. It's also, I suppose, got a decent enough skill ceiling in that, you know, you can mess up playing this, but I feel like if you play it right, you know, you're going to be quite well rewarded in terms of getting good numbers. I don't mean that from a balance perspective, I just mean, I think that if you play right, it will be a spec that, you know, will pay back well. You know what, that's a crap sense, but you get what I mean. I think it will reward good play. Anyway, that's basically it for this video. Let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments or on Twitter, which is probably the best place to get me directly. But anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.